Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTGO Traders. My name is Taryn, and this is rotation-proof Blue-Red Wizards for Core Sets 2019 Standard, getting into Guilds of Ravnica once the rotation hits in October. So yesterday we looked at a sweet rotation-proof Esper control build, and today we're doing something a little bit different, something kind of budget, but also super aggressive, and can definitely win games out of nowhere. This is Blue-Red Wizards, and let's jump into the deck tech, guys. Starting with our creatures, of course, we have 20 in total. We have G2 Lavamancer, Merfolk Trickster, Vashino Pyromancer, and Adeliz the Cinderwind. As far as these four here, we have four more after this one. Lava Runner is really, really good in turn 1 through 3. Trickster is really good in the mid to late game where you need to get in those last points of damage as well as kind of slow down any kind of big damage coming towards you. Pyromancer is great on turn 2 at being able to do 2 points of damage to your opponent's face. And the Cinderwind, if you get this out with any more wizards on the battlefield, is the way you win the game. Prowess triggering here basically across the board whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell, and it also has flying and haste as well, being a great attacker on turn 3. Other cards for us as far as creatures are the Aven Wind Mage. This is from Core Set 2019, a 3-mana 2/2 flyer. Basically has prowess here. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So not necessarily as good as the Cinderwind here, but still very, very good at being able to do a lot of good damage in the air at our opponent's face. Now that's all the creatures in our deck. Let's go on to our spells here. We've got Banefire Opt, Warlord's Fury, Lightning Strike, and Wizard's Lightning. A lot of burn here with some great ways for us to kind of sift through our deck and get more either creatures or burn throughout the deck. So Banefire is a great way for us to kind of get through those control matchups, especially on turn 1 through 3. We basically can play whatever we want, but by turn 5 or 6, opponent usually has their shields up, they have control magic in their hand. Banefire gets through that once we hit 6 mana. Banefire deals X damage to any target, and if X is 5 or more, this spell can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. So it's a fantastic way to get some extra damage in there and close out a match against a control opponent. Opt is here for us to kind of sift through our deck to get through either lands or more burn spells. Warlord's Fury is a way to kind of deal with the board state against a more aggressive opponent with lots of creatures on their side of the field, as well as kind of drawing us a card as well for only 1 mana. And Lightning Strike and Wizard's Lightning is, of course, 3 points of damage to any target, 1 for 2 and 1 for 1 mana if we control a wizard on the battlefield. Either way, both of them are going to burn face and do a lot of good damage against our opponent, their planeswalkers, and their creatures. Let's move on to our lands here really quickly. We've got lands for Islands, Mountain, and Sulphur Falls, 10, 9, and 4 respectively. Could have probably fit a Field of Ruin in here, or something else of that kind of sort as well into the deck list here. So didn't really think about that whenever I was building the deck list, but I do think you could probably fit in a Field of Ruin if you want to take out maybe a mountain and 1 island. We have more islands than we do mountains here because of the Merfolk Tricksters being double blue. So those are kind of the cards where you want to make sure you have that extra blue mana. Everything else as far as red mana, we only need 1 for each specific spell. But that's it for the main 60 here. The game 1 game plan is basically turn 1, get out a Lava Runner, turn 2, get out a Pyromancer, and then turn 3, get out Cinderwind and just burn as much as you possibly can until your opponent is dead. But let's get into the sideboard here and see what we can do. This is Banefire again, Siren Stormtamer, Spell Pierce, and Negate. So I kind of opted for Negate here over the Wizard's Retort, which is basically the counter spell, the 2 blue, because of exactly that, the 2 blue. It's kind of difficult to get off very quickly, especially in a deck here where you're kind of curving out every single turn. Negate, I feel like, is just a bit better because you're kind of trying to counter away any kind of removal to your board state, things like Vraska's Contempt, or things like Lightning Strike to your creatures, or Shock, or Abrade, any kind of that fun stuff. However, we aren't protected from, let's say Goblin Chain Whirler, if that hits the battlefield as well. But we do have lots of ways to bounce back with things like Banefire, Lightning Strike, Wizard's Lightning, stuff like that. We have more Banefire in here for the control matchup. Siren Stormtamer against the blue-white control matchup, making sure we don't get into a Steal the Wreckage situation. Spell Pierce for more control matchups as well, and more removal matchups if they're curving out for Vraska's Contempt. And more in the sideboard here, we have Exclusion Mage and Fight with a Fire. Exclusion Mage is actually a human wizard from Core Set 2019, a fantastic card for us, 3-mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. This could almost be slot in for the Merfolk Trickster slot, except, you know, Trickster is 2 instead of 3. But I still think both of these cards are doing a fantastic job at being able to keep our opponent off balance and moving forward in the match. We bring in Exclusion Mage for those token-based matchups, or if they're playing a lot of like big creatures like you know, Galta, Primal Hunger, we want to bounce those back to their hand, make sure they get countered either, or we can you know, get in the match before that happens. Fight with Fire here is a 3-mana sorcery. You can kick it for 6, making it a 9-mana spell. But Fight with Fire is still pretty good for those good mono-green matchups, getting rid of those big creatures. Deals 5 damage to target creature, and if this spell was kicked, it deals 10 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets instead. Fight with Fire is amazing, especially in the early game, but also ridiculous in the mid to late game if you have 9 mana to spend. Either way, Fight with Fire is going to definitely close out a match for you if you have that mana, that 9 mana there. Let's go to the full layout here. On MTGO Traders, if you want to build this, is coming to actually about 7 tickets, which is super budget. And if you want to build this in paper, it's only coming to about 44 bucks as well. So I feel like this deck is probably going to come up in price once rotation does happen. It seems like it's a bit too low for my liking, although there are a bunch of really kind of base cards in here like Lightning Strike, Opt, Wizard's Lightning, that kind of thing. Banefire being a great card as well, and I feel like the most expensive card in this deck list is probably Sulfur Falls as far as the land here. Everything else is pretty cheap, but I do like it regardless. But that is the full deck tech, guys. Let's get into some matches and see how this deck does. Ooh, right now let's get into match 1 with Blue-Red Wizards. Let's see what we can do. I think we're actually up against a Aetherflux Reservoir deck in this particular match here. Lava Runner on the opening hand. Definitely a keep there. Mox Amber definitely showing off. Okay, this is either a side deck or a Reservoir deck. Pyromancer gets the Metallic Rebuke. Kind of annoyed by that, but we're still going to get in for 1 here. Dropping them down to 19. Third land coming in with a Psy, so definitely is a Psy deck list. Gonna go for Adelice here, and get in for 2 in the air since it is a flyer. So keep in mind, Psy, if once they start playing their artifacts, they create lots of 1/1 Thopter flyers, which is a little bit difficult for us to get around because, you know, they're 1/1 Thopter flyers. So 3 cards in hand for opponent. They go with a pass here. We're gonna play a land, and either go for Pyromancer or Trickster. Go for Pyromancer first, get Metallic Rebuked, no problem. Go Trickster now instead on our turn to tap down Psy to get in for 3 points of damage. Building out our board state and getting in for more damage. That's perfectly fine. Could have used Warlord's Fury there to cycle some cards, but we'll do that in the following turn. Gluttonous Crane here for opponent, grabbing an Ornithopter. What Ornithopter does here is a 0/2, but it's also creating a 1/1 thanks to Psy, and then they go with a pass turn. We have an Opt and a Warlord's Fury. So Opt, again, with Adelice on the battlefield, pumps our entire board state. Warlord's Fury also pumps Lava Runner, giving it haste as well, and +1, +0. Pyromancer is on the top. We're going to top deck that and put that onto the battlefield as well. And 2 points to the face. And then do Warlord's Fury, again, pumping our entire board state. And we don't have enough mana for the Lava Runner, but we're going to attack out with 3 4/4s, which is a huge force here. 1 in the air, 2 on the ground. We're going to block with the Thopter here and take 8, looks like. Definitely taking 8, going down to 4. They're making sure that Thopter stays on the battlefield because of cards like Paradoxical Outcome, things like that. They could bounce it and replay it. Barrage Expertise sends all of our wizards packing back into our hand. They don't get rid of the Pyromancer, and then they do go for Paradoxical Outcome on the Mox Amber and the Thopter. Getting out those 2 does create them 2 Thopters. They also play out another Mox Amber there. So they have 4 Thopters on the battlefield thanks to that, and Inspiring Statuary. So they decide to go off on this turn. They're still at 4 life, though, and we just Banefire them for 4. That's why Banefire's in the deck. It's kind of out of nowhere, but it can definitely end a match and just kind of get us there with those last couple points of damage. We put in Banefire, take out the Merfolk Trickster, and thinking about bringing in Exclusion Mage, but instead we go with Fire because it can deal with Psy, Master Thopterus. Have an opening hand with the Warlord's Fury and get you Lavamancer with Aven Windmage, getting a little bit too mana here with the draw. But getting out Lavamancer is fine, or Lava Runner is fine. I want to say Lavamancer for some reason. Second land and getting in for 1 point of damage. And just passing turn here, holding up a Lightning Strike for something. Inspiring Statuary comes out on their side of the field, and we just strike them to the face, drop him down to 16. Keep in mind the instant sorceries increases Lava Runner as far as damage and haste. Getting in for 2 here, we get in Adelice with that Opt. Getting in for 2 more points of damage, dropping them down to 14, kind of saying we might have another Lightning Strike in hand since we just used one. They get out Zahid, big threat for us. And then we go with Adelice and just pass the turn here. That's a 6 mana 5/6 that got out on turn 4. So big deal for us. They got the Void there, helping them out, kind of with cycling some land away probably. And they just attack in for 5. We have Banefire off the top. Amazing. We go with Warlord's Fury here, and we start to kind of do the math. Like, can we get actual damage? We actually get Lightning Strike with Warlord's Fury, and decide to do that as well in mid-combat. Getting in for 8 here on the ground, 3 from the lightning strike. Just a ton of damage. Opponent should not have attacked. Blink of an eye on the Adelies here. Probably would have been better to do that prior to pumping the lava runner that much, but you know, whatever. I'm not the opponent. Prophetic Prism coming in, drawing them a card. 4 cards in hand for the opponent, and another Inspiring Statuary. They're kind of hoping for probably a Baral's Expertise or something. We have them at 7 life. They're not going to attack, obviously. We're going to go with Adelies here. We could have gone with a Banefire, but we're going to save that for a bit. We're going to pay for that Metallic Rebuke. I'm not sure why opponent went with Metallic Rebuke there, because we did have the mana to pay for it. I guess to slow us down a little bit. But we're going to maybe attack in just for the actual damage, dropping them down to 5. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to try and drop them down to 5 since we have enough mana the next turn with Banefire to end up the match. They lay a land, 2 cards in hand for them. And I think that might be it here. Paradoxical Outcome for them there. Ornithopter coming in the battlefield. Prophetic Prism as well. And playing out a Renegade map. They're trying to go off as quickly as they possibly can. But again, as soon as our turn happens, we just Banefire them for all of our mana for 6. And that's the GG. Love Banefire. Such a great card. So glad it was in Core Set 2019. Let's get into match 2 here and see what we can do. Oh man, that was fun. Alright, have a decent opening hand. This is actually a guy I kept running into while playing, and he plays a devastating Rakdos Torment of Hellfire deck. And he said, oops, again. We ran into each other again. He won the last time, and so we're actually going to try one more time because they were a really close match. So Canyon Slough hits the battlefield. I go Pyromancer on turn 2, holding that opt for any kind of Adelies the Cinderwind shenanigans. They go second mana. We could go for a Lightning Strike here. They're going to go for a Fatal Push onto the Pyromancer. That's fair. We're going to go with a opt off the top and just Wizards Lightning their face since we get into that. And pass the turn back to them. 3 mana, they're going to go for a Doomfall. Probably grab that Banefire out of our hand or the Cinderwind. Cinderwind is the pick there. But we top deck a Cinderwind, which is kind of amazing. We don't hit a land, though, so that does put us back a little bit. We do Lightning Strike to the face on the main phase. They lay a land and pass turn. Getting into a Banefire for us, we really need to get into a land quickly. They hit another land, 5 cards in hand. Apparently, they have nothing but removal, and we keep hitting creatures. So they go Dark Bargain here. Yeah, and I say 23 lands, can't hit any in 6 turns. But that's alright, that's alright. Spoiler alert, we still end up winning this match, even though we have a terrible land situation. And he can't draw a win con. 3rd land finally hitting the Cinderwind, and Canyon Slough with a cycle, 6 cards in hand for opponent. Now keep in mind, this is a Torment of Hellfire deck, so having a lot of cards in hand is actually not a terrible thing. Dark Bargain for them once again, going down to 6. That's kind of dangerous for the opponent. But keep in mind that if they go for a Torment of Hellfire, it's really impactful. Cabal Stronghold going for Eldest Reborn, making us sack our Adelies once again. Kind of in a situation here, though, that we can actually either go for the Cinderwind or Lava Runner into maybe something else. But I think we're just going to go for the Cinderwind and get in for 2 in the air. Dropping them down to 4 here, saying, you know, we really do need to end the match soon if we can. Each opponent discards a card. We discard a Merfolk Trickster. Again, having 2 blue for the casting cost is a little annoying. Never to Return hits our Cinderwind, and we come back to nothing on the battlefield. 4 cards. They're actually going to go with the Never to Return, making a 2/2 here. We have Lightning Strike off the top, so close to lethal here. We can just Lightning Strike their face and then go Banefire the following turn. That's exactly what we're going to do, but playing a Lava Runner in between that. And we could go for an attack here, but they're just going to go Fatal Push exactly to that. So we're actually surviving quite well, thanks to the situation of them using Dark Bargain several times to try and get out their win con. So if they don't have a win con this turn, then we go Banefire. They tap out though, and I'm thinking, well, they'll probably have Torment of Hellfire this turn or something of that sort. But they have Banefire for 6. Hit me in the face, and then get in for 5, dropping me down to 9. But we have Banefire ourselves for 3, and that's going to be the GG on game 1. So let's get into the sideboard here, bringing in Banefire, bringing in Negates, taking out the Warlord's Fury, and taking out Aven Windmage, bringing in Fight with Fire. Actually taking out Fight with Fire. Oh, we keep it in. We keep it in. Thought about bringing in the Storm Tamer for some helping against the targeted removal. Take out Merfolk Trickster, bringing in the Siren Storm Tamer. Just bringing in 2 of those and 2 Spell Pierce for when they tap out for that Torment of Hellfire. Super hard match for us as far as surviving because of so much removal they have in their deck list. We keep a 1-lander, maybe? Yes, we do. Because of the Storm Tamer, and we're us on the draw. We don't hit a land, though, so it really is unlucky for us. We do hit a land on turn 2 and go Siren Storm Tamer. holding up the Wizard's Lightnings in our opening hand here. Cast down. We're just going to go with a Wizard's Lightning to the face, dropping them down to 17 and passing the turn back to them. 3 lands and a pass. We don't hit another land. And we pass back to them. So being super unlucky with our draws here as far as it goes. Keep in mind we have opt and things like that to help us kind of mitigate these kind of situations. We could go Lava Runner, but we decided to keep open to negate here to help against any kind of big bomb or removal spell they may have. We go Lava Runner this time because we have enough mana open for that negate as well. However, it doesn't have haste and just sits on the battlefield, being a 1/2. 6 cards in hand, playing Cabal Stronghold here. And they go for Torment of Scarabs, and we have the negate perfectly for that. So Torment of Scarabs is a huge threat to our board state. They also have Lost Legacy here. And naming, let's see what they're going to name. Probably the Cinderwind. They name Banefire, and they get all 4 copies of Banefire, including the one in their hand. But that does give us a land. So good for us here. Going to go Cinderwind, and probably go with the Wizard's Lightning before combat to make sure that we get a little bit of a board-wide pump and get in for 6 here. 9 damage overall for the turn, dropping them down to 8. And we actually can do 9 damage again the following turn if they don't have anything. They pass turn here. We go Wizard's Lightning, saying, do you have it? Do you have anything? We have Contempt. We have Negate for Contempt. They go with a Canyon Sleeve Cycle looking for a Fatal Push. And they don't find it. 2 cards in hand. Swinging in for 8. And that's the game. Nice. All right, let's get into match 3 here. Match 3 is kind of a mono-green something deck. Wanted to say mono-green aggro when I was playing this match, but after reviewing, it was not really mono-green aggro, just mono-green stuff. 3 lands in the opening hand. We'll go with a keep here, especially with an opt to kind of sift through either land or creatures. Pyromancer off the top is also pretty good as well. Opponent passes their first turn, discarding a forest. Opponent goes, oops, and I go sad face. Yeah, never F6 whenever you think that you're actually on, on the play. Asks of the Wizards, we say yes. Rotation-proof Wizards, actually. Playing Pyromancer and doing 2 points to the face, passing back to opponent. Opponent asking to go to game 2 immediately. Perfectly fine. We'll take out the Tricksters, bringing in some Banefire. And probably just going to submit there. Now, telling our opponent exactly what our deck list is kind of a bad thing, especially on MTGO, because they can sideboard really well against you. I kept this match in for this specific reason, is you don't want to do this. But opponent said, yeah, I had a good hand, but then they skipped their draw step, and they just F6. We actually keep this because of the opt in the opening hand. They play out a Rampager and pass the turn. Sulfur falls off the top for us, which is really good. We go opt here and keep that land on the top as well, making sure we curve out because of all the Aven Wind Mages in our hand here. It's really good for us. Rampager hitting the battlefield once again, and actually staying this time, being a 3/4. Hitting Sulfur Falls and going for a Lava Runner and passing the turn back to them. 5 cards in their hand here, going into their 6th with the draw. They don't hit a land, though. They do go with Ixali's Diviner, hitting a Verdurous Gearhulk, throwing it into the graveyard. Does make it a 1/4. We keep hitting land here, which is kind of good and bad because of the Aven Wind Mages and the ability to hit our instant sorcery speeds in the mid to late game. No attacks from us, but we can get in some damage with the 2-point flyer eventually. 6 cards in hand from an opponent, going for the Merfolk Branchwalker. Forest hitting the battlefield thanks to the Branchwalker and hitting a Llanowar Elf as well. Land for us, we could go the Aven Wind Mage or Lightning Strike on either the Branchwalker or Elf. Decide to go with the Aven Wind Mage here. And thinking about attacking in for 2 in the air, we could definitely do that. But they kind of have a wide board state at the moment, so it could be not to our advantage here. So we actually pass the turn. Opponent tapping up for 4, going for a Vizier of the Menagerie and getting in for 2 and 3. We're just going to take that 5 there and then get in for a ton of damage this turn. The opt here is going to help pump our board state. We get into a land off the top. Warlord's Fury into an opt again. Adeliz, going to bottom that into a Banefire, which is super painful. Both of our mages are 6/6s right now, and we just get in for 12 in the air, getting them down to 5. And if we survive next turn, our Banefire is online doing a ton of damage. Deathgorge Scavenger off the top here, and trying to get some life going back up to 7 here, so we can actually Banefire them, but we can still win by having in the air stuff. Opponent very talkative here. Looks like I'm dead. Sad face. Oh, man. Opponent swinging out here for that Hail Mary play. And we go with a block here on the 3-4 and just taking 5-6 overall, dropping us down to 9. We top decked a Lightning Strike, which is kind of insult to injury here. But we just go Banefire for 5, dropping them down to 2. And opponent's giving me the GG. But as you know, on MTGO, you want to make sure to play out the entire match. You don't want to concede to an opponent if they give you the GG. You want to make sure that the opponent actually loses or concedes themselves. And then we just get in for 3 in the air. And that's going to do it for this particular match. Very, very nice. Oh, love it. All right, let's get into match 4 here. Match 4 is I believe a control deck, and they go with a Salt Scoop. Gonna give you that right now. Field of Ruin here and to a Mountain. Opt for us into a Pyromancer, and we pass turn back to them. Have some decent options here for turn 2. Can go for the or turn 3. If we can go for the Mage, the Trickster, or Pyromancer. If we hit another blue mana for the Trickster, we go Aven Mage here. And think that opponent is on a blue-black control strategy, since we see the blue and black and the Argyle's Bloodfast. Go for a Pyromancer, trying to kind of get out a control magic card from their hand. And we definitely succeed with an Essence Scatter. Go opt for that. And draw into our island here. And then get in for 3 in the air. Could have gone with a Warlord's Fury as well, but wanted to kind of hold on to that for just a bit. Glintsleeve Siphoner for our opponent here. Having 3 Lightning Strike is ridiculous in our hand here, so we're definitely going to go with the Warlord's Fury, and then just start getting off our Lightning Strikes to pump up the Aven Windmage. Now they have 3 mana available to them, so they can go with a counter card here. We're going to get in for 4 in the air, saying, you know, maybe, okay, cool, get in for 10, awesome. They're going to go Supreme Will here, and we could have gone with a Lightning Strike there, but we're going to hold up the Merfolk Trickster for that Glintsleeve Siphoner the following turn, so that since they don't get the advantage of drawing some cards the turn after that with the Glintsleeve. 4 cards in hand for opponent here. 5 mana getting into their 6th with Aether Hub. So Aether Hub, remember, giving them any color mana by spending 1 energy. We're going to go Merfolk Trickster before combat actually happens. They're going to go Essence Scatter, which is perfectly fine. We want to get those out of their hand to make sure that our creatures hit the battlefield. And he gets in for 2 points of damage, dropping us down to 18. We actually have it, though, I think, with the Lightning Strike pumping up the Wizard to a 3-3. And then trying to get in for 3 once more. Saying, you know, do you have the counter for the Lightning Strike here? And opponent has a Vraska's Contempt. So they gain 2 and they lose 3, so they only lose 1 from that. So getting down to 5 here thanks to Glintsleeve Siphoner. And getting in for 2 here. And all we need now is just a Banefire off the top to make this work for us. Liliana Death's Majesty coming into the battlefield as well. And throwing a Scarab God. We have a Pyromancer off the top, dropping opponent down to 3. So we're definitely in Lightning Strike range. However, we've used 3 Lightning Strikes, so the opportunity of drawing another one is sort of low. So I need to focus on seeing if we can get around their ability of the flipped Temple of Vraska here. Not Vraska, just their Argyle's Bloodfast, their flipped land there, because they can sack a creature and gain life with that. Getting in for 4 here, dropping me down to 12, and getting Scarab God from the graveyard back to the battlefield. Aven Windmage coming in for us. Not too terrible. And passing turn back. Opponent bringing in the Merfolk Trickster from our side of the field and tapping down Aven Windmage. At this point in the match, it's basically over. Opponent has definitely won this match. It's probably fair for us to go with a concede here. 9 life for us. They can get in for a possible, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 2 of that menace. You'll see whenever I start right-clicking, I'm like, it's probably time to concede. Even though we were really ahead, and we just got a little behind, and needed that extra points of damage. Definitely block the Scarab God here and go down to 1, so giving us a little bit of leeway. But again, the Temple on their side of the field lets them sack a creature, gaining them life back. So it's kind of this situation where we can definitely do the lethal points of damage, but they're going to sack a creature and gain life. So we're actually not doing lethal. We're just, you know, dying the next turn. Unless we sack something more significant or have a Banefire, and we just get a Sulfur Falls, and that's actually going to do it for us. Kind of sad. So we do swing in here for the 2, saying maybe opponent doesn't use Temple, but they definitely start to use Temple there, and that's going to do it. Let's get into sideboard here. We bring in Banefire, bring in Negate, bring in Exclusion Mage, take out the Trickster, bring in Spell Pierce, take out Warlord's Fury. We have 3 cards we need to take out. Taking out 2 Aven Wind Mage, and thinking about maybe a Pyromancer or a Exclusion Mage for those tokens, zombie tokens. But we do take out 1 Spell Pierce as a compromise, and then just hit submit. Banefire here is going to be really important to us since it's a great way to end the match with that uncounterable damage. Just super powerful. Love me some Banefire. All right, let's get into game 2 here. Play first? Yes. All right, we have 2 lands, which is a decent keep for us with a lot of stuff to work with. We don't have a red mana, sadly, so we're just going to go either with a Sulfur Falls tapping or a island. Going to go tap Sulfur Falls and play an island here. Getting out a Lava Runner. And we can use Opt on our turn. We're going to top deck and draw into a mountain. Again, once we get to 6 mana, Banefire is uncounterable. So we're going to try and do as much damage as we can as quickly as we can. They have 2 mana here, so didn't want to use the Cinderwind, thinking they may have a removal spell for the Lava Runner or for a Essence Scatter for the Cinderwind. So we're just going to use the Lightning Strikes and things like that. Got in for 2 there for after the Opt and Lightning. Wizard's Lightning hit the graveyard, dropping our opponent down to 15 with that 5 points of damage. And on their end step, we're going to use Lightning Strike. And again, we have a situation here where we can go with an Opt. We have another Negate on the top here. We draw into that and then just ping them once again for 2. Trying to be very careful about how we play our cards here. In step, they're going to go for probably a Supreme Will or a Cast Down. We go with a Negate here. So opponent really has to use main board or main phase of removal. They go with a land and pass. We hit another land here, getting closer and closer to that Banefire being uncounterable. Getting them down to 8. Very, very nice. 7 cards in hand, hitting their 5th land, Field of Ruin. Now they can sacrifice that to get rid of our Sulfur Falls if they really feel like it. Again, hitting Cinderwind is not that great for us. We just want to continue to get in some damage as much as we can before they deal with the Lava Runner. Fatal Push, we're going to negate that and get them down to 6. 1 creature doing all the damage here. But that's all you really want to do whenever you're up against a deck like this. You want to make sure you're getting in the damage as much as you can and protecting yourself as much as you can. 1 more mana here, getting closer and closer to lethal. Go for a Cinderwind. Obviously, it's going to get Essence Scattered, but that's perfectly fine. And then we go in for a 2/2, making sure that, you know, it gets killed as well with the Cast Down, but saying, you know, we might have another Negate in opening hand. Going for a Champion of Wits from the opponent here. 5 cards in hand. They're going to draw 2 and discard 2, thanks to its ability. Threw away a Champion of Wits and a Field of Ruin, so they're kind of coming back right now. We go with a Delease in the air attack, getting in for 2, dropping them down to 4, and then actually pump with Opt here, so they really need a removal spell for Adeliz. The question is, do they have it? They don't have it. We bottom the Opt. We bottom the land into another Opt, which is great for us, getting in for 4 points of damage here. And then just drawing into a land here to make sure that the Banefire is uncounterable the following turn. Being at 20 here is really good for us and means that we basically just win as soon as they pass the turn. Doesn't really matter what they do here. They can go for a Vraska's Contempt on the Cinderwind, but again, we still will be able to burn them for 5 uncounterable damage. So, super good. Opponent's really kind of looking at their options here, saying, you know, that's it, but that's going to do it for us. And they actually scoop all the way out. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the video. You saw the matches, you saw the deck tech. Like it if you like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that, of course. And leave a comment below on what deck I should cover in the coming weeks. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you all. Oh, by the way, I'm streaming on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll always link that in the comments down below as well if you don't see that too. And we also have, you know, the Facebook group and the Discord. And, you know, make sure if you want to join those, just comment about that and I'll leave a link below as well. But that's gonna do it, guys. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome MTG content just like this. And make sure to tap the bell icon to be notified whenever a video is made live. If you want to keep watching content, here are 2 more videos for you. This video and many others are sponsored by MTGO Traders and Cape Fear Games. Buy and sell digital singles to build your online collection today with MTGO Traders, and get your paper singles, accessories, and much more from Cape Fear Games. Whatever your Magic needs, both places have you covered.